So once in a while, I wonder if I should maybe give people insight as to what an ex-convict's mind looks like, even though I've been out for a very long time myself, as I'm sure with many people that have done a fair amount of time or were in a difficult prison. We have memories. We have things that we connect dot with in our daily free world life that reminds us of something in the past. And then there'll be random memories that come up. So who knows what the score is on this and if it's psychological. Shh. As if anyone comes out the way they went in, whether you're staff or prisoner. That's just the rule. But I had a random memory on the way back home this morning, and I don't even know why. I asked myself, well, why? And I thought, well, I'll examine it out loud on a Zoom. And I had a memory of an old friend of mine who knocked out a guy in Oak Park Heights prison. And the guy that he knocked out had been in probably 100 fights and just whipped everyone's butt. And he had a really reputation as a violent guy and quick trigger, and he's like huge, he's in good shape and he is a big guy. And he was head of a particular outfit there, he and a couple other guys. And I didn't really have anything particularly um, against them. They seemed like they're a bunch of drug heads and maybe a little bit off the hook. I never had any interest in being around them too much, but some of their beliefs seem to be a little bit similar to mine, you know. And but yeah, we didn't hang out, you know. But me and this other friend, we had more in common because we're both members of a particular radical outfit. And um, but the guy that I would walk the yard with in Oak Park, a lot of people didn't like him. He was kind of burly himself. He wasn't as tall as this other fella. I was taller than him, and I didn't. There's something that struck me as a little bit creepy about him sometimes, and for all I know, he thought the same of me. But we managed to overlook some of our constraints or prejudices for each other, and we'd have conversations. So one day, his first name was Greg. One day he had words with this fella, this big guy, in the unit they both lived in, and the big guy just had a complete conniption over it. He got really angry and, you know, and jumped toward Greg. And Greg says he leapt through the air and he was going to try to clock him. He was going to try to clock Greg, and he was so angry and he had such strength, speed, and the like. He jumped probably about 6 feet. And before he came down, Greg gave him a right hand to the chin and knocked him smooth out. And he hit the floor, and that was the end of that little fight, you know. Um, so Greg was a pretty strong guy too, and he did know how to fight, although he tried to avoid him. And and he was in for something that most people would consider pretty difficult. I think he killed like 3 cops. My friend did. And I didn't know the details on all of it at the time, and I learned in prison, you just don't ask questions. I don't know anything and I don't want to know anything. But the guy had shared that he had killed a few cops and gave me a little bit of background on it. So, um, anyway, so Greg went to segregation, and this guy, I don't remember too many details anymore. But here I am in the free world, and the guy that Greg knocked out was a good friend of a few people I'm involved with as part of a group where we've reformed our lives. We're ex-cons and we've turned things around. We don't drink or drug and believe living a societally fit um, arrangement. We don't want to hurt anyone anymore, and aren't off the hook ourselves. So, and we're trying to make a difference and help others and that whole business. And occasionally this one fellow would mention the guy that got knocked out, and he didn't know that Greg had knocked him out. He didn't know anything about that fight, I'm sure, because I think the other guy wasn't publicizing it. He didn't want his rotten reputation to get smeared. So, and I thought about telling him it, right? And then I thought, no, I'm not going to create any potential ego battles or anything like that. And I don't think he's like that. The guy that I know out here, he's really emotionally matured, but I sense a little bit of ego when he talks about this guy and how he knew him and he hung out. And so, yeah. But this random memory came up, and feelings come up with it too, feelings of having been locked up and how I feel about certain things in today's age versus how I felt back then. And yeah, so I guess I just thought maybe I would start recording some old memories and make them part of my history, and I could analyze them later. And maybe you can think about it too, give you a bigger picture over time of what it's like to be an ex-con. And okay, thanks for tuning in. Peace out.